As the cleanup continues from Hurricane Irene, a lot of property owners are anxious to get started on the repairs. However, the Better Business Bureau is warning people to be careful, do your homework, because you could get scammed. Here to tell us how to protect ourselves, Better Business Bureau's Howard Schwartz. Thank you for coming in.
My pleasure.
This is so important because, you know, there are some fake contractors and fake folks coming out there from the insurance company. They're not really with anyone legitimate.
No, they're not. And I think the instinct is we want to get the damage repaired as quickly as possible. Right. This is something you should wait on because you're talking not only about the cosmetic side of your house, you're also talking about work that can be done by a fly-by-night storm chaser, someone who might not be qualified or might be using unqualified labor. And we're talking about putting your family at risk if they mess up doing electrical work, heating, cooling, or even structural assessments to your home.
So is there something you should do if somebody gives you their card? Should you take a bunch of cards and look them up on your website? What should you do with this? How do you pick?
Well, it's always important to get 3 bids. Okay. And certainly people should be checking for registration and licensing at the Secretary of the State's website. Okay. What we found was last month at a news conference was the Secretary of the State and the Attorney General handed out $1.3 million in fines to more than 300 companies from out of state who are unlicensed and working in the state of Connecticut. And we've also been hearing about fairs. This is the time of year when fairs happen, and contractors have been turning out at fairs saying that they're Better Business Bureau accredited, and we check into it and find out they're not. So people should check at bbv.org. And in addition, when they're looking for a bid, if they do see the seal online, people in some cases have been scamming, putting the logo up there. When you click on it, it should take you to the company's business review, so be careful about that.
Even fake seals.
It's
amazing. Oh my gosh. All right, I think we have some things we're going to put up on the screen talking about some of the suggestions for you in dealing with post-home Irene repairs. First is avoid making a fast decision.
That's right. Some people will say this is a one time only, you got to sign now type of deal. That's a big red flag. You don't want that kind of thing.
And also, don't hire on the lowest. You said get a couple, and you need to check these folks out.
That's right. The differences will be the kind of workmanship, it'll be the kind of materials used. Those are the things you want to ask. And one of the common questions we're asked is, how much do I put down for deposit? Oh. 1/3 before, so the contractor can get the kind of materials that are needed, 1/3 when work begins, and 1/3 when work completes.
That's good. So don't pay me half now.
That's
or pay
right.
me most of it now. It's not going to make a difference. And get it all in writing. So get like a real estimate on paper.
That's right. And it should also contain any kind of verbal representations that are made, a payment schedule, and a start and stop date are good, because we've all heard those horror stories about people who have their kitchens done and that the work starts in August and finishes in February. So get it all in writing.
And also the fears, you know, when you get somebody that's not legit, you heard stories about people starting a job and then they disappear.
And they disappear, and they can disappear with your deposit.
Come back.
I know, it's frightening. And Better Business Bureau does hear about this, and certainly across the country and from states where natural disasters are a common calamity, actually.
So you're kind of learning from those folks, right? Because they deal with this all the time. This is kind of our first in a while, big, huge disaster.
That's right. And what Better Business Bureau is hoping is that by telling people about this, to get at least 3 bids, and if one is lower than the others, ask why. And that way we can forestall some of the problems that people complain about across the country.
Mm-hmm. Now, we are a week out tomorrow, which is amazing to me. It's been the longest week in history. But now we've got so the water's receded. Now we're dealing with some mold issues. Talk about that.
That's right. Well, business, certainly it's going to be a big business for people who do basement repairs. Mold remediation is a big issue because it also puts your family's health at risk. So you might want to call someone in for an assessment on that. You should be getting professionals for all this kind of work.
Right, and then you already mentioned these, but it doesn't hurt to say them again. Verify the licensing with the Secretary of State.
That's right. And also, don't be afraid to ask. In fact, you should ask for proof of insurance, because some contractors, if they're shady, they might hurt themselves on purpose on your property. But even if somebody does hurt themselves by accident, you don't want your insurance to get dinged for that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And you should be asking them whether or not their workers are indeed their employees, or whether they're contracting out to other people, because if you have a problem, the recourse will be affected by that.
Meaning if they just kind of get day laborers or something, and those folks might not be under the insurance? How do you check on that? So you just have to trust them at their word that they're going to hire folks that are legit, or how do you do that?
Well, first of all, if they are registered with the state, that's a good sign. If they're not registered with the state, you've got to ask yourself why, and think carefully about doing business with somebody who decides to cut a corner like that. Any legitimate contractor will be happy to provide proof of insurance, because that is so important.
All right, Howard Schwartz, BBB, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Definitely check it out on bbb.org, is that correct?
That's correct.